Hey everybody, this is Yusef for Video Game Plot Summaries, and this is part 2 of Venetica. Part 1 is hanging around somewhere. If you haven't watched it, please do, because I put a lot of work into it. These things take me a while to pick up, especially with the family. But the skinny of it, if you don't want to look at it again, you've seen it already, is that Scarlett is pretty much some sort of death detective, and her father is her boss. Her father sends her on a quest to find 5 people who have cheated death and kill them, essentially. The people who cheated death are not completely undead because they have to find a book called the Grimoire that has a magical spell in it that will complete the whole transformation for them so that they will be untouchably immortal. Right now they're just kind of holding death at bay by putting up a shield or some junk like that. Anyway, as we pick up, Scarlett has already killed 2 out of the 5 of these undead people, and there was an old ass man named Sophistos who was put in charge of the Grimoire, but he got killed by the last dead guy named Hector. So Scarlett has to somehow get in touch with Sophistos as he's dead and figure out where the Grimoire is so she can destroy it. Alright, we're gonna pick up from there. In the meantime, we look in on the undead archons, and they are pissed at the loss of 2 of their 5. Victor, the leader, gives the Black Pearl a chance to find and kill Scarlett, while the Doge gives her the Arsenal District to lure Scarlett into. They still don't fully know who she is. The Black Pearl gave this crazy speech about,
"My war beasts will find this girl, and they will tear her to pieces."
Hector is dead. The regular guards are back on the job, and the Arsenal District is open. No sooner is Scarlett out of the water than does she get a message to head back to her guild to talk to someone. That someone is Leon, her brother. He's working to gain influence in the city so he can change it. He's really driven. Scarlett moves onto the Arsenal District, gets accosted by muggers, killed if you stand up to them, and sees her brother Leon again. He is on a secret mission, but it does have useful information like what tavern to deliver that letter, and to talk to a dude named Largo to find out where Sophistos lives. First, Scarlett goes to the tavern, but then witnesses a man getting chewed out by Largo's security guard. Scarlett talks to the man and finds out he is Brother Johann, and his chapel has been overrun with demons. The door is locked and he needs some sacred scrolls to get inside. Alright, let me deliver this letter first though, Scarlett says. When she delivers the letter to the blonde assumes that Scarlett wants a recommendation to see Largo as payment for the delivery like everyone else. She tells Scarlett that she's not popular enough. So with that in mind, Scarlett goes to help Brother Johann. Scarlett goes to the inner city to get the scrolls, and in the meantime saves an African dude who is being attacked by other African dudes. This guy is pretty happy I saved him, so I'm sure he'll come in handy sometime. Don't tell me your name or anything, dude. Anyway, with the scrolls, Brother Johann lets me into the chapel to exterminate the demons. Lo and behold, there's a statue there. Let me pause for a second. I like how this game isn't very clear on any religion. The brother says that the heavens must have sent Scarlett, but Scarlett's just like, not exactly. The statues that Scarlett uses to see Benedict have no real connection either. You could say that it is an angel, so that it has to do with Christianity, but the game never gets too deep into it, so it's not dependent on what you know as a Christian or whatever. There are rules to the world, but you don't need to know everything. It cuts down on the long expositions for sure. So Scarlett uses the statue and sees Benedict, who gives her the power to talk to the dead and tells her that the world of the dead is shielding her from the undead Archon. Nox, remember Sophistos' apprentice, goes to the inner city chapel to find Scarlett getting the scrolls, but he was too late. He did, however, run into Victor, the undead Archon. Nox does a good job acting like he's never seen Scarlett, but does reveal that she is a she. Victor is not convinced and takes out Nox's eyes. I'm glad they didn't show it. So Scarlett goes back to the Skullbreak Tavern to talk to the blonde, now known as Leora. She now knows that Scarlett is the chosen one. The blonde's boss is Victor, the undead Archon, but she came about this job by tragic means. Instead of telling her story like Hector did, she just gives us the recommendation and vaguely expresses remorse for not getting the chance to tell her lover she didn't mean to get him killed. Okay, so bye then. Leora tells Scarlett that her husband was killed in a dark place, so Scarlett goes to the catacombs under the city to see if she can talk to him with her new power. She enters a place with a skeleton, but before she can talk to it, Nox shows up out of nowhere, saying he was looking for Scarlett. But he don't have no eyes, so it was more like he was feeling for her. Anyway, he tells Scarlett that Leora was part of the Resistance, and she told the other members that the Doge wanted to meet them to discuss a peace treaty. When they showed up, though, the Resistance was destroyed. They called it the Night of the Blade. Later that night, the 5 people figured out how to become undead. Nox also tells Scarlett that Victor is the leader, and then he leaves. Thanks for the handy exposition dump, blind guy who walks around dark catacombs infested with giant lobsters. Good luck. Anyway, Scarlett goes to the skeleton, and sure enough, it's Leora's husband. He tells Scarlett that she doesn't need his forgiveness because he still loves her. Scarlett goes back to Leora to deliver her husband's message. She feels better, but she thinks that Scarlett will make things worse. Before she goes back to her servitude to Victor, she gives Scarlett the recommendation. With that in hand, Scarlett heads straight for Largo's office. Largo says that Sophistos lives in the chimney, and Largo will give her the key if she removes a dude named Mercutio at the Ambrosio Lotus, a whorehouse. Scarlett agrees and goes to the Ambrosio Lotus to kill Mercutio, but then Mercutio's boss, Kitten, shows up and gives Scarlett the key to Largo's house. Don't ask. So then Scarlett just goes there when Largo is gone and retrieves the Sophistos key. Easy peasy. Kitten is also the boss of that rogue leader, Tusker, who betrayed Scarlett earlier in the game. She heard of how Scarlett came out of that like a G and got the Arsenal district opened up so that Tusker could report to Kitten. I actually thought that was some good writing. Fortunately, Kitten didn't out me for killing so many rogues in my campaign. Am I right? So Scarlett gets the key and heads to Sophistos' place. His skeleton is there, just like Scarlett's dad said. Scarlett talks to him, and he gives her the story, like Lord of the Rings, where he was so intoxicated by the book, he couldn't bring himself to burn it in the chimney. So instead, he buried the grimoire at a villa under a tree. Scarlett goes to the villa to find the family that lives there massacred, and Victor's army looking around for the grimoire. Scarlett kills them all and digs up the book. When she has the grimoire, she takes it all the way back to Sophistos' chimney and burns the book into ashes. That causes Sophisto's ghost to turn all Schmeagle and flip out about the book. Not that that's a problem or anything. And Scarlett barely takes 2 steps out of the chimney when she is ambushed by the third immortal, the tribe princess the Doge calls the Black Pearl. The Black Pearl is able to catch Scarlett with a poison dart, and she falls off the bridge into the river. After crawling out of the water and taking a nap, she goes to the doctor spot, who tells her that she has been poisoned and could die without the antidote. He just so happens to have a medical book, but it's in an African language. So Scarlett finds an African and brings him back to read it. He gets a hold of the book of poisons and tells everyone that it's more than just poison. Scarlett has a poison curse put on her by the Juma tribe princess. So Scarlett has to defeat the princess to lift the curse. Hold up. So, where the game has been pretty good at storytelling so far, this section is pretty dumb. First of all, Scarlett is pretty much immortal, so who cares? All of a sudden, dying is a thing for her? Throughout the whole game, she has been stabbed to death, straight up executed, and had a frickin' ship collapse on her, and she just came back. She can literally solve this problem by just letting the poison kill her. This is also something that the Black Pearl should have known as well, but she didn't even come looking for Scarlett after she fell off the bridge. Then, to top it off, after the only escort mission in the game, our tribesman is able to accurately troubleshoot out of the Book of Poisons to tell Scarlett the specific poison is cursed. How? Anyway, I appreciate them trying to raise the stakes to make the story a little bit more suspenseful, but, no. You can't use death that way after the game establishes that it isn't a special thing for the main character. Alright, so Scarlett steps out of the door and finds out that Leon is in trouble again. She gets a small team of 4 from the Order of the Holy Seal and busts into the harbor warehouse where the Juma warriors are holding Leon. Once she rescues him, Leon is not satisfied with how slow the guild is. He tells Scarlett that he found a new teacher and he won't see her again for a while. Then he leaves without his sister. Jerk. And the princess shows up with some of her troops. They are no match for Scarlett, so the princess runs away to Africa. Scarlett yells. She's all like, "No!" In this scene, and I swear they had the voice actor do it once, and then they keep inserting it into different parts of the story. It makes me laugh every time. Anyway, Scarlett has to follow the princess to Africa because of the poison curse. Oh yeah, and she has to save the world too. She gets a boat and a guide named Akba who owes her one and heads out. Remember, he's the one she saved a little bit ago. Once she gets into the continent, a Juma warrior creeps onto the boat, kills everyone, and sets it on fire. So that sucks. Akba leads Scarlett into a dilapidated village with a huge tree just in time to see the princess lock herself behind some friggin' doors with a magic barrier. Scarlett searches around in some caves to find another broken gateway idol statue. And she finds the other pieces in separate caves and completes the statue to be whisked away to Benedict again. Benedict explains to Scarlett that the tree in the village is none other than the tree of life. It's being affected by the darkness that the princess brings. Without the tree as an anchor, all life will cease. So yeah, Scarlett is poisoned and then saves the world ×2. This time, Benedict gifts Scarlett with the ability to break the seal, so she heads back to the gate, opens it up, and swags into a debate with the princess. The princess says that she knew it was Scarlett the whole time, but no one listened to her, presumably because she's a black woman. She also says that she turned herself into an immortal zombie so she can rule her people forever? Scarlett is all like, yo, you suck at ruling people. Look at this place.
Call this protection? Look at what you've done.
But the princess gets all offended and goes Shakespeare on Scarlett.
Silence! I am doing this for my people, and you will not interfere with my plans. So die! Die in the heart of my homeland! Die in the shadow of the ever-living tree of life!
Then they fight in the real world and in the other realm to a stalemate. Fortunately for the world, the princess starts to see the error in her ways and stops fighting, which I wasn't expecting at all. Not only does the princess stop fighting, but she gives Scarlett a vial of the princess's tears so that she can make a dress with strong magic protection to use against Victor, the undead archon. She lifts the poison curse because that is still a thing apparently. And she gifts Scarlett with a new ship that will take her back to Venice. Why, thank you. While heading back, Scarlett jumps into the Twilight Realm and talks to her father, who tells her that she failed because she couldn't keep the book away from Victor. She's like, what the hell are you talking about, Pop?
He didn't take it. The book was destroyed. I burnt it myself.
And then he informs her that the book is too powerful to be destroyed completely. So even though she burned it up, it still resides in the Twilight Realm. What? Did he think Scarlett knew this before? Why didn't he bring it up? At the same time, Victor finds out that the princess has turned on him, but he can now find the book in the Twilight Realm way easier than he could before. He can't go into the realm, but he can somehow see the book from the outside. The Doge is the only one handy that can translate the word, so Victor enslaves the ruler of Venice as his own personal Rosetta Stone. So, the first order of business when Scarlett gets back is to get a dress made because she cannot get into the Doge's palace looking like an armored killer. Victor still doesn't know who Scarlett is, so she still has the element of surprise. Once she gets inside, they wrongly assume that she is a delegate from Portugal because the Portuguese ship had been destroyed, coincidentally. Sure, buenos dias? Before long, the steward of the Doge's palace stops Scarlett and tells her that the Juma tribe were attacked at a harbor by the Order of the Holy Seal. Remember?
No!
So Scarlett has her Order of the Holy Seal badge on like always, and the steward wants to use her to get in there and obliterate the guild. She reluctantly agrees to do it. Once she enters into the guild, she gets knocked out. When she comes to, she finds out that the secret guild master of the Order of the Holy Seal is Eris from the Net of the Mask Guild. As a matter of fact, she actually leads all of the guilds. Eris dramatically brags about how she's gonna pluck off Scarlett's fingernails.
First we shall cut out your tongue. Then we'll pluck off your fingernails and throw them into boiling oil. Your eyeballs shall be gnawed away by rats. And your nose? Well, I'll think of something for your nose later.
When Scarlett tells her she isn't a traitor and convinces Eris to help her. The Doge's soldiers show up and Scarlett and Eris kill them. After that display, Eris trusts her instincts, lets Scarlett go, and burns the guild to the ground to get rid of the evidence. With the guild destroyed and the remaining members in jail under the palace, Scarlett returns back without suspicion. Scarlett goes to the dungeon to see the guild members. She can get the key to the jail cell by talking to the dead jailer and trading it with the skull of his dead girlfriend who is buried in the garden. When Scarlett gets the skull, Leora, Victor's big-breasted helper, pops out of nowhere. She tells Scarlett that she needs allies and she needs to destroy the corrupt city council. Leora left something for Scarlett in her room that should help. You see, the city council is supposed to make decisions for the city of Venice that helps the city out. But instead, they always vote evenly and send the tie-breaking vote to the Doge, giving him all the authority. Anyway, Scarlett takes the skull back.
Honey.
What do you mean, honey? You murdered me. You couldn't bear that I wanted to leave you.
But we're together again now,
Damn.
and that's all that matters, right?
Gets the key and frees the guildmen. Then she sees a skeleton in the back of the cell and talks to it. It's a dead council member. What a coinkydink. He's super proud of his work on the council. That is, until Scarlett tells him how corrupt it is now. He gets super pissed, but can't do anything about it. With that dead end, Scarlett goes to see Leora. Leora gives her all the pieces to fix a gateway idol. That should help things along. At that moment, Leon walks in and calls Leora a traitor. Victor is his new teacher. He's all like,
Scarlett! You! How could you do this?
Leon starts to spout Victor's teachings, but Leora counters him with logic and messes him up. Then she charges the guards with a sword and gets ended fast as hell. Scarlett fights her way out and Leon runs away like a little punk. Scarlett takes the statue pieces to the garden and opens the gate to see Benedict. Benedict tells her it's the last time he will see her and gives her a gift that will allow her to let ghosts talk to other people. So with this, she takes the dead High Council member to the active High Council and lets him give a rousing speech that brings them to the highest level of guilt.
Who do you think you are that you dare to abuse the most honorable position in this city?
You can have us. We surrender. Just tell us what you want and we'll do it.
A politician feeling guilt is the most unbelievable thing this game has showed. After his speech, the council is broken down so much that gives Scarlett the choice to choose who the new council is. Scarlett gives the power to the rebels because it is the only way to free them. They put the High Council members into the dungeon, and together with Venice's soldiers, everyone fights to free the palace of Victor's dark forces. Scarlett, though, enters the chambers by herself with the magic dress. When she gets inside, the Doge is about to finish transcribing the book. Victor tells Scarlett that he is supposed to be the next death, and not Scarlett's father. So he's a little pissed about that. He also points out that her birth was forbidden as well, and now they use her as a pawn. Which is a good point, but, well, I don't know. I got nothing. And Scarlett maintains that she fights for something other than the council, so Victor powers up by taking the souls of everyone in Venice. Savage. And Scarlett attacks the Doge to stop him from finishing the transcription. And Victor tries to run to save the Black Grimoire, but accidentally runs into the Doge, and that pulls everyone into the Twilight Realm. Scarlett now has to finish this hybrid monster. So with that, here's the ending. We're back in the regular world. All right, Benedict came through, boy. Seriously?
Release them. Release the souls.
Father! Father! Why aren't you helping?
What are you talking about?
Help me, Father!
Release them.
No! I want to stay alive! I don't want to die!
I will end this here and now.
Seriously? He's over here screaming like a bitch when he was all excited about being death. Now when it's time for him to die, he doesn't have no fucking respect for it. Of course I'm gonna take his soul myself. Let death take his soul. What the fuck you talking about, man? This is a long-ass game for me to just be like, here you go, death. It's all you.
I will end this with my blade.
As you wish, my daughter.
What'll happen now?
That's up to the people. It's always up to the people. The things that happen are due to the decisions they make. That is, as long as they don't try to cross the borders.
I crossed the borders.
I made you cross them.
And what will become of me now?
That, again, is entirely up to you. You have already chosen a path. I'm sure you will go on to follow it. But for a long time, or so I hope, you will travel this path without me. Farewell, my daughter. See you in another life.
Farewell, Father.
All right, everybody, that was Venetica. It's a cool little game. I wouldn't put a game that I didn't enjoy the story on. I wouldn't put it on this channel, or I might if the story was really stupid and funny. But then, if it was stupid and funny and schlocky, then I would have enjoyed the story anyway, and I still would have put it on this channel. So whatever. But anyway, Venetica is. It wasn't so dope of a game. It was middle of the road at best, but with the female protagonist, they just I don't know. There was a special type of schlock to it that kept me going. The sound of Scarlett's foot movement, her running, her jog or whatever was oddly soothing, and it didn't seem like going from place to place was too long. And the story was in all of the elements of the game. So a game like this, you would expect a fair amount of side quests. You know, it's open world and you're running around Venice and talking to people and doing a whole bunch of stuff. So you think that every now and then you'd run into somebody and they would be like, oh my God, somebody took my ring. And then you'd have to go chase that person down, you know, like Assassin's Creed or something like that. But it really wasn't too much of that. It was very interesting because I just basically followed the story set in this open world. And that was it. It wasn't like Grand Theft Auto or anything like that. Everything I did pretty much lended itself to the story. Even when I made choices, it would just kind of slightly deviate from the story and then bring it right back in. A good example is the fact that Eris was the person running all of the guilds. So that basically meant that any guild that you picked, be it the one that gives you swords or the one that gives you magic or whatever, any guild that you would have picked, she would have just still appeared at the end when you got told by the steward that you needed to go after the guild that came after the princesses of Juma, attack the Juma warriors, right? She would have been in any place you would have had to go to and been like, I'm the leader of this guild and all the guilds. So it was interesting how they looped that in. Also, I cannot forget that early in the game, the father, Death, whatever, he basically told Scarlett that it doesn't matter what she chooses, the end result will be the same. And that to me was super gangsta, because the game just basically told you, like, we wove this story together that we thought was awesome, and you're just gonna have to like deal with the story, and we're not going to let you believe that you have any sort of freedom of choice like most games or a lot of games like this do. It just didn't bullshit you, and I really appreciate it. Like, I think that was cool. Oh, the way the story started breaking down at the end, as if death for Scarlett was an actual thing, like her dying of the poison was nothing. Yeah, right towards the end, it just started getting a little hammy. I think they could have wrote that a little bit better. Instead of trying to, oh, she's got a poison, she needs to, like, she had motivation to come after the princess anyway. So what the hell was the point in that? I didn't understand. But, yeah, other than that, the game was, like, fun. I enjoyed it more than I thought I was going to, and I purchased the game on a whim, just like I do with a lot of games, because I've never heard anybody talk about it at all. But I'm down for my female protagonists. I'm down for smack talking on a what is it called, a speech wheel, where they give you a whole bunch of different options to say something. You just like pick the one where the person just threatens everybody's life. You think I could have tomato soup sauce with that? No, we don't sell that unless you want to pay extra. Sure, here's your money. Yeah, I would like that. Thank you very much. I'm gonna slit your fucking throat if you don't give me that soup sauce. It's like, yeah, that sounds like what I'm gonna pick, I'm gonna slit your throat. And with the Italian, I would, you know what? I would think that it was cool if they did have like a little language option. You could flick the switch and get Italian accents. That would be really awesome. Instead of these British accents, speaking for Italians like they used to do with old time kung fu movies back in the day. And these Chinese guys would come flying in there and they'd be all like, "Hello, my good man." Looks like somebody needs a thrashing. Anyway. Let me go ahead and close this up. You guys have been great for listening to this, for watching this. Sorry, I don't see what I'm making as I'm doing the vocals, so in my head you're listening to it. And thanks for the support. A lot of you have been leaving nice comments, and it helps me keep the channel going, even though, you know, I don't know. I don't know if I expect too much to come out of this, but I definitely like sharing these with people, so I'll try my best. Anyway, you guys have fun, and I think the next one I'm gonna do is God of War, because there wasn't a request for that. So yeah, please, by the way, request things that you want. You know, make it easier for me to choose which games to play, for sure, because I got a big stack of all these games, and I don't know. So anyway, you guys have fun. Peace.